Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day in the month of October and discuss the movie that it chooses. Today we are talking about the 1980 film The Fog, which was written and directed by John Carpenter. I am your co-host, Alec.
I am Erik. Sorry, just singing the theme song.
Yeah, dude. Let's just start right off with the music. This music is awesome.
I feel like John Carpenter's coming off hot of Halloween, and he's just like playing a piano, like doop 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 doop, and then he just like gets this awesome theme. He's like, I gotta make another movie.
He's so good. You probably know this already, but with Halloween, like they made that movie and there wasn't any music and people didn't think it was that scary. And then he went and made that score like in a weekend for Halloween and then put it in the movie and it was like, oh, this is a game changer. The entire movie's scary again. I
Yeah,
bet he learned a lot from that, was like, I'm going to make a really scary theme going into this one and then releasing it. This is such an underappreciated score.
the score is awesome. It really is, and the main theme doesn't play in it a lot, which is like do 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 do
Yeah.
do. You don't hear that a lot, but it has like that. Ooh, what is this? It's kind of exorcisty, but not. It's really good, and it's like how when you listen to it, you think like, oh, it sounds like a foggy night.
Well, the first scene that's introduced in is when the little kid goes to the beach and finds the part of the ship that says Dane, and he grabs
Yeah.
it, and then the music starts. And I wanted so bad for it to just right when that happens, and that's like 15 minutes in the movie. It just goes music composed by John Carpenter.
Oh my dude, can we talk about that credit at the beginning? The credits, 12 minutes. They're still showing names.
You probably know this too, but that's used to be a law, I believe, where movies had to do that. And Star Wars was one of the first movies that didn't do that, and it was a big deal that they didn't do the credits in the beginning and show all of the people beforehand. That was a really big deal. A lot of movies, they choose to do it now, but movies just did that back then, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of credits. I think like Pumpkinhead was like a really long, like 2 minute. It's like, okay, let's start the movie. The movie's going on while
Mhm.
they're listing the credits, but damn, dude, 12 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. It was like 12 minutes and 30 seconds until it was like written and directed by John Carpenter. It's like, finally.
I didn't notice it that much, I guess. Well, if I remember correctly, you really like this movie, don't you?
I do. It's more campy, than Halloween's like way more scary. I think this is more of a kid version of a horror movie, like Pirate Ghost, ooh, spooky Pirate Ghost and stuff like that. Definitely doesn't have as much scare. I think this was more like let's get families to the theater, John Carpenter movie. Not as scary as Halloween.
Yeah. It's different than Halloween. Yeah, it is. It just jumps right into the supernatural stuff. It's about the town as opposed to like the individuals, kind of. I mean, it is about individuals in this one, but not like you're not following just one person. It's kind of the whole town collectively. I have such a soft spot for movies that have like a DJ kind of going the entire time.
Welcome to you're listening to like
But like throughout the whole movie, like American Graffiti does it, kind of Dazed and Confused, I guess a little bit, like Reservoir Dogs and Do the Right Thing. They've all kind of got this like radio DJ that's kind of like narrating what's going on. But
what a
like,
character.
yeah, I don't know why I love those kind of things. And this is like the only horror movie I can think of that does that.
I know there's like that really bad movie Urban Legend with like Tara Reid, and she kind of is like the radio person. It's a good way to like introduce the movie. Like, hey, all you cats and kittens, like get ready for the prom tonight. You wear your best dress, and kind of like sets like the scene up of
Yeah.
what. Ooh, it's prom tonight. They're in high school. Like everyone's get ready. Is it gonna be Carrie White as the prom queen? It's like who knows?
Oh my God. Imagine
Sorry.
a town, they have a radio that's actually announcing the prom results. Gee.
Oh God.
I love the DJ in this though. I think she's cool, man. She's got a story to tell. She's from
Yeah.
Chicago. What happened in Chicago?
She's like, I'm gonna keep you company tonight. I'm the velvet voice that's gonna get you through the night. And that weatherman keeps calling on her and hitting on her, like, hey, the weather is this. And it's like, you wanna go on a date? And she's like, no, I gotta go home to my kid.
Mm. I kinda I kinda like, though, how his crush on her is kind of the reason he dies, because he's so like, "Don't worry, babe, I'm gonna check this out," and goes out there and, like, gets killed by it. I bet if he wasn't on the phone with her, didn't have a crush on her, he'd be way more, like, scared and looking at stuff and be like, "What's going on?" But it's more like a joke, 'cause maybe he's trying to be a tough guy on the phone with her, I don't know.
I think it's even funnier when he shows up to work and the guy's like, aren't you off today? He's like, yeah, but I wanna talk to my radio friend.
Jeez.
Like, it's really like, ooh, dude, you're coming into work to talk to somebody like that?
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think of
She's
that,
not even here. You're talking to her through the radio. You can do that at home.
but that's so lonely, I didn't think about that. It's like because he needs to have the weather to, like, break the ice a little bit, be like, "Hey, I got that weather for you." Because it's like, you're really just calling from your house right now? So what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just drinking, like, a Miller High Life." I don't know.
It's about 75 degrees. It's like, do you even have a thermometer, barometer? No, I'm a weatherman. I know this stuff.
Ugh, God. Another thing, man, I never noticed this, and it's just kinda weird to me is the age gap between Jamie Lee Curtis and the lead dude, I guess.
Yeah, they name him Nick Castle too. But we'll get into that. What,
Dude,
what, what are you gonna say?
he's 45 and she's 22, and
Jamie
it's
Lee
like
Curtis was 22 at the time.
yeah, she was born in 1959. So,
Jeez.
like, I'm like, "What the hell?" Like, it didn't even, like, strike me when I was a kid and I saw this, but I'm watching it now, I'm like, "That guy, he's 45, she's 22, and she's just, like, hitchhiking," and it's just like and they just, like, have sex, they didn't even explain that, like, their windows just get broken out, and the next scene is them in bed, you're like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, and the weird, like, she also was like, "Oh, you're my 13th hitchhiker." It's like, do you do this with every hitchhiker? Do you sleep with them like every time you hitchhike?
Yeah, you
And
might wanna ask that because like, if she's spreading some stuff all the way from San Diego to there.
yeah, no, and then also that look in that guy's face when like the pirate ghost like shows up or someone shows up and knocks on a door and he's in bed with Jamie Lee Curtis and he just looks at the door like, "Are you kidding me? You are interrupting me. I'm with Jamie Lee Curtis right now in bed. We are naked. What are you doing?"
Yeah. No, that's true. I kinda did want somebody to be like, "Is this your daughter?" And you're just like,
Well, no, he's just walking around. It's like, hey, Bill, hey, Nick. His character is named Nick Castle, who's actually the actor who played Michael Myers in Halloween. A
"Oh, yeah."
lot of Halloween stuff coming back. A lot of
Mm,
actors. The guy who played
yep.
Brackets, the Weatherman, ton of that stuff. I was gonna say like, hey, Nick, like, what's going on? It's like, who's this lady who's with you now? Like, no one. Like, he goes to see the boat guys. Hey, Nick, hey, they didn't come in last night. I don't
I
know. The
know.
boat's missing. It's like, who's this lady you're with? He's like, ah, don't worry about her. She's with me. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Seriously, it's a small town, it's not like a big town, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Hey, who's this, like, 21-year-old with you? Who is this?" Like, "Oh, I picked her up and now we're kinda like, fucking." Just like, "Oh, okay, Nick, cool. So you're looking for a boat?" It's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of I don't know, it's just weird that they don't ever address that, but yeah, anyways, so she's on board for the rest of the adventure now.
So yeah, it looks like she could just easily. It's like, this place is nuts. Like, I'm gonna go hitchhike again out of here.
Yeah, well, she does say, like, "I'm going to Vancouver now." It's like, "I go." Like, it's fucking
Yeah,
scary. Get
I
out of
like
here.
that they got Janet Leigh in this movie too. Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
Yeah, yeah, her voice is like a sound from the past. So when you hear her talk, it's like a woman from the '40s.
Yeah, I remember. I think the last movie she did was Halloween H2O with Jamie Lee Curtis. But it was cool to see like the mother daughter duo. Horror scream queens going on.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, no, I get it.
Janet Leigh was known to be famous for the shower scene in Psycho.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, she kinda like it's the generation of the Lee Curtis
It's a
family.
legacy. It's a
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, I'm glad they're all in it. I bet Jamie Lee Curtis was like, "Mom, you gotta work with John Carpenter. He's such a good director," sort of thing. She's like, "Okay." Oh, also, do you know John Carpenter is in this movie?
Is he the priest's assistant at the beginning or
Yeah.
whatever? I
Yeah.
thought so. I thought that was him.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's just like, "Can I get paid now?" Like, that's, like, the only thing he says.
They'll pay you. Hey, why don't you come in instead of 4, come in at 6? It's like, that's not payment.
No, exactly. He's just like, "You can come in late tomorrow." It's like, "Okay." I have some questions for you, though, because 'cause I'm kinda confused about a couple things in this movie.
Oh, bring it.
So, okay, I get it, like, something happened 100 years ago, scary story, but then the Bible breaks out. It's like, okay, so 100 years later, the Bible breaks out, or his, journal breaks out, and he has to
Mm.
read it. Why didn't the priest read the whole thing immediately and just be like, "Oh my god, my grandfather did this. Oh my god," and then look into the wall a little bit farther and take the thing out there and be like, "Okay, I gotta give this back to them, and this will stop it," before it even happens. What the hell happened there?
So there's 6 founders of the town, and those founders killed everyone on that ship intentionally because they didn't want them to bring their diseases and stuff, and they also robbed them. And they had all the gold, which was that giant gold cross. And
Yeah.
if that thing is a real piece of gold, that thing's worth like $2 million. That thing was solid gold.
Yeah, they melted it down into that cross.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the revenant, like the ghosts, come back 100 years later to the town, which is the fog. They come back through the fog to take 6 lives, which is why you see like the number 3 written down on the floor, and like 6 must
Oh.
die in the wood because the 6 founders and the priest, I think his name is Malone. His grandfather was one of those 6 founders, and that's why he dies
Oh.
at the end. Is because you're the 6th one.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. Because I was just like first of all, I was sitting there the whole time, I'm like, "What do these guys do?" I was like, "These guys didn't do anything. It was 100 years ago." And then also, like, there's probably so many people in this town that had their families weren't even there 100 years ago, and they're all gonna have to pay for this. But
Yeah,
okay,
the
so
other lady's from Chicago, and she's gonna get killed because of this. What did her family have to do with this?
right, right. So that's what I was thinking the whole time. But you saying that makes it seem like, okay, so the curse was 100 years from now, we're gonna kill 6 people in this town as retribution for the 6 people that committed this against us. Okay.
Exactly, like a lineage of your children's children we're gonna come after kind of attitude.
Is it though? Because you're right. They unless that lady's family's from the radio host lady's from their town, why is she about to?
Could be that she's coming back home. Who knows? You know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If that's the case, though, if it has to be like lineage of those people, like they should have made that a little
What
clearer.
about that old lady babysitter who got hacked away? The
Maybe,
one that's babysitting little Andy.
I'd believe that her town or her family had been there forever because she's an old lady.
She's probably one of the founders at her age.
Maybe. Maybe. No, but that okay, so that adds a whole layer that I must have missed because I was like, okay, that a little bit strange, but interesting. Okay. Did you see the remake to this?
I did. The 2005 remake with the main character who plays Superman in Smallville is in it, and I think Shannon from Lost is in it as well. I don't remember. But that remake does a twist on it where the main girl who comes in and hitchhikes is actually like some bride of the pirate ghost guy. And she like turns into a ghost at the end, which kind of I thought they were going towards that with Jamie Lee Curtis. She just appears out of nowhere after the fog, and she's hitchhiking. Her name's Elizabeth. The ship was called the Elizabeth Dane.
Hmm.
So you think there's a little Elizabeth, that's a connection. Maybe, she just showed up out of nowhere after the fog. Maybe that was how the plot was originally written. But they did that in the 2005 remake. And I have to say, if you ever want to see a bad movie, like ran out of its budget, ends, I don't even know how that movie ends. It just ends on something bizarre. It's just bad. And yeah,
Yeah.
if you're ever in the mood, you just be like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen, go watch it.
To piggyback off of something you just said, Elizabeth, Jamie Lee Curtis' character, she does say, she's like, "I'm bad luck," like that whole thing. So it's like, okay, that does that.
There's a little, maybe they changed the plot halfway through. Who
Well,
knows?
this is what I was gonna say, and I haven't seen the remake, and I wanted to know like if they did add anything to it because I think Evil Dead remake does a good job of kind of adding things to the original plot to justify some things that weren't that clear. But
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like the remake did that in this case. But it's
total remake.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they did add a little bit because there isn't a pirate
There's
like.
also more treasure involved where I think they find the treasure and they take it and they go to like sell it.
Mm,
And it's more like Curse of the Black Pearl attitude where you
right.
took their treasure and they're coming after you. But also, I can't explain how much it doesn't make sense.
This movie, it feels like it's 15 minutes too short.
It's funny you say that
Why?
because originally this movie only hit about 80 minutes.
What?
And John Carpenter was like, shit, I got to stretch this out a little bit because people are, hey, you got to make this at least an hour and a half. Like, it's got to be that to be an actual like film.
Yeah.
So, it was like under 80 minutes. So he like
Right.
added that scene at the beginning of the guy telling the kids around the campfire the ghost stories. That wasn't originally in it. He added that last minute.
What?
Bunch of other scenes he added in. So it felt stretched, right?
It felt like it was missing a couple scenes to justify some of the story. Like, it felt like it was missing some stuff. I didn't need to see more kills, I didn't need to see more atmospheric shots, I needed to have a little bit more explanation, I felt like.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe they ran out of all the spirit Halloween fog, like the fog juice.
oh, yeah, what do you think the budget was for the fog on this?
That must have been a pain in the ass. If it's not, it doesn't look like any CGI. It looks like straight
Mm.
up fog juice. Dude, imagine doing the scene and someone hits the fog button too much and it just the whole place is fogged up and you can't see shit. It's like, all right, cut. And you got to wait for the fog to dissipate for like 20 minutes. It's like, all right, kick it again.
I wonder if there's some
Oh,
PA on the set who just was like he got, like, sick from it a few years later, they're like, "I swear to God if somebody's on the set of The Fog, and I swear to God."
this movie only cost like $1 million to make. They like pretty much took the spoils of Halloween and said like let's try to make a little bit more lemonade. Let's milk this cow while we got it.
Mm.
And they made this movie $1 million. They spent a ton of money nationwide providing theaters with fog machines, like $200 a pop fog machines to get people into the theaters.
Mm.
And I think that's what like took it a little over their budget.
It didn't do as well nearly as well
No,
as Halloween.
it's not as good as a movie.
No, no, it's definitely not. But it is cool though, and it's different. You know, you gotta give it it's the same writers as Halloween, it's John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. It's the same team
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it's just like, "Hey, let's have fun. Let's make another movie, have fun with it." And
I
that's more the attitude I got from this movie.
do you think that maybe this potentially could have been Halloween too? Because they were gonna go for that anthology kind of feel, and this
Originally, that was an idea to do, and yeah,
I
but,
wonder if this could have been the original Halloween too, as opposed to just The Fog. And then I don't know if you've seen Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, right?
yeah, yeah, it's got that, like, horror anthology to it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but, it's the same guy. Tom Atkins was then in Season of the Witch. So he did this that lead guy who
Right, right, the guy who plays Nick.
yeah, so he's the lead guy in Season of the Witch, so you're just like,
So
"Okay."
he's making, like, a Quentin Tarantino universe kinda thing almost.
I don't know, it is kinda cool. A lot of the same actors are in Halloween and then this, and then they kinda go back into Halloween. It's yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's a nice little, like, family unit, it feels like.
It's good. It's not great. Like I said, it feels like they're just having fun. Like, "Hey, let's make another movie with the same folks. Let's, make it fun this time." I just never understood the Edgar Allan Poe quote at the beginning, "Dream within a dream." This has nothing to do with dreams.
Mm,
It's like I never like, I'm trying to, like, what does that correlate to in this movie?
yeah. Yeah, you're right. Mm.
All it is a dream within a dream. And I'm like, "What?" Like that, well, why isn't it like a sailor quote or something?
Yeah, something like "The fog rises on a
Yeah.
mystery night." I don't know, something. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. It is a strange one. I guess it's like Edgar Allan Poe, it's spooky. It's like
Yeah, I guess. Maybe that was just like, "Hey, we gotta add a couple 30 seconds to this movie,"
yeah. Well,
to make it longer.
the intro scene that you said they added, that's interesting because like, what the fuck was going on that night? So it's like, "Alright, it's midnight, and I'm a creepy old guy, and you guys are all just gonna be here, and I'm gonna tell you ghost stories." Like, could you imagine right now, it's like, "Hey, we're all gonna go listen to an old man down by the down by the ocean, and he's gonna tell us ghost stories. Mom, I know it's midnight." It's like, "Okay, have fun."
Well, that was like one of the kids was that Andy kid who found that piece of beechwood, and he was listening to the story, and he came home like, "Mom, I told the story," and that's what made him, like, really interested in the beechwood, like, "Ooh, it says
I
that's
know,
the ship." So
but
there's that.
the whole circumstances in itself, like, could you imagine nowadays a bunch of kids just going to the beach and listening to some old man telling stories and at midnight?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that would never happen. It's not
Like
like, "Oh,
scaring the living shit out of your kid, and then he comes home, has nightmares, like, "Alright, you're not going," it's also midnight, he's like, "It's
it's
5
mid."
minutes till midnight." It's like, "What are you doing out there? You're 7 years old. Stop hanging out with the drunk sailor guy, like, come home."
Yeah, but the mom's like, "Okay,
Mom's a
have fun."
late night radio host, so she needs, like, babysitters, I guess.
Yeah, but still, that's a little scary. The one thing that I do remember from being a kid, I think the first time I saw this was on AMC, like, randomly, probably during Fright Fest or whatever they do, and I was in middle school when I watched it, and I remember them saying, like, "The witching hour," and they kept talking about the witching hour from 12 to 1, and I remember that time stuck with me when I was a kid. I was always so scared. I was like, "Alright, at least if I can make it to 1 AM, I'm fine."
Yeah, the witching hour, oof. Yeah, we used to work security, so we know that that late night hour is not fun, so, like, the
Uh,
1 AM to 3 AM, oh god, the worst.
yeah, if you have to be awake then, like the radio host.
What do you think of that kid? The kid finds the piece of wood and just, like, it's sandy, and he just brings it into his mom's bed and just gets sand everywhere. It's like,
Like a dog bringing a dead bird into the house. You're like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "I thought you liked this." It's like, "No, what get rid of this crap." And then it turns oh, yeah, what's up with that when it starts leaking and then it, like, possesses the radio? What's it saying?
something about an albatross. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand it.
It's like, "I wanna seize the albatross's neck," something like that, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
I wanna know more." Like,
Yeah, yeah, here's the thing, I think this movie had a great, like, idea, and they were really, like, thrilled to do it, and they're like, "Oh, the fog, it's gonna be, like, this cool, we're gonna, like, reinvent horror with this concept of, like, escaping fog." Love it, but the delivery just felt a little like, I kinda
they
missed the delivery in my mind, I don't know.
they didn't give
Not to
enough
knock it.
explanation. I don't it's not trying to be, like, David Lynchian where you're like, "Oh," like, you're thinking about it and you're like, "I wonder what that means," and, like, he's like, "Ah, you saw that, but I'm not gonna tell you." It's not like that. It feels like they just forgot. You're trying to fill in the blanks, but you there needs to be a little more.
Yeah,
There's
maybe
just
there's a scene they never shot that,
well, this is the closest I've ever cut it to doing this podcast where, like, I literally watch the movie and then get in here and do the podcast with you. So I usually have some time to, like, look into it a little bit more and maybe see if there's, like, extra features. So I don't know. This one, I literally, like, immediately they slice off that priest's head, and I was like, "Alright, pause, get in here," and
I
so
I think one solution to make this movie way more easier to understand is show an intro scene of 100 years ago of what happened. and
Mm,
then come to now, like, show, like, them, like, a ship of people and show them. I guess it's scarier that you don't see them and don't know them, but, like,
yeah,
show how they, like, are they're lepers and they're trying to land and they have the money and the gold, and they trick them by making a campfire, and the campfire because they think it's a lighthouse or whatever, and they hit the rocks, and
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's like, okay, if you're not gonna show us, then tell us, but they don't tell us either. It's like they very slowly release what happened through this guy reading the journal. He's like, "What is he listen, this weird thing's happening already," and he's just like, "I'm gonna take my sweet time. I'm not gonna finish this thing." It's like, if that thing just popped out of your wall and you saw your grandfather wrote it 100 years ago, you're gonna tell me you're not gonna start and finish that book in one reading?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, can't agree more to that, but, I mean, maybe John Carpenter was like, "Hey," like, talking to the movie studio, and, "Hey, we have this scene at the beginning we wanna do, and they're pirates, and there's a ship that hits the rocks." "Oh, okay, John. Pirate costumes are expensive alone. We're not gonna pay for a boat to crash into rocks.
You're
It's
right.
not gonna happen." And
You're
he's probably
right.
like, "Come on, like, I made Halloween, like, we can do this."
You just took the words out of my mouth, but I'm thinking to myself, how could they not sit there and be like, "All right, listen, this guy
Budget.
did such a good job with such little money. Why don't we give him kind of what he's asking for, see what he's got to do, and maybe we'll have a better movie on our hands." But they're like, "No, no, no. Give him like twice what we gave him for Halloween, a little more, and then don't give him everything and see what he can do." And then he can't
Yeah.
deliver.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, mostly fog machines.
Yeah, but still, I gotta say, like, this is not a bad movie, I don't think.
No.
I mean, it's not a classic or anything like that, and it's not John Carpenter's best, but it's still not a bad movie.
Yep. I would totally agree with all of that.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in well over 10 years, but, rewatching it now, I was kinda going in with a little bit low expectations, but I mean, just literally finished it, and I'm like, I'm fine with this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror movie that I think, younger kids could be able to watch and not be totally freaked out.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, like, really scary moments. I mean, the murders in the beginning on the boat, those are pretty scary, I think, just because of the music, right when it comes in, right when they get stabbed, it's just like, "Wee!" Like a really high-pitched, loud stab sound right when they get stabbed, and you're like, "Whoa." Oh, again, same dude, the old guy from Pumpkinhead who has the inbred kids, that's that dude again.
Really? Okay.
The guy on the boat who gets killed is the guy from Back to the Future. He's a homeless guy. He's in Pumpkinhead. He's the
Oh,
inbred kid
shit.
that, and now he's in this. We're seeing a lot of the same guys. I'm
There's a
loving it.
lot of legacy going on from, like, 70s and 80s horror movie, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I'm loving it because I don't think I'd notice these things unless we were watching them back to back like we are. But I'm like, that's the dude from Pumpkinhead. Like, there's a lot
Yeah.
of little things.
Yeah, next week, I'd like to dive into some older movies, like, even older than this, if we can.
Well, the oldest movie we have on the wheel, I think, is The Last House on the Left, or no, Rosemary's Baby.
I think we have Carnival of Doom, which might be a '50s movie.
Ooh, wow.
So I added
Yeah,
that one in because I read up on it, and it sounds like one of the, like, the more fun horror movies of the olden times, I guess.
I'm excited. Yeah, to see that. John Carpenter, though, because he remade The Thing, and that's an old classic. He honestly, to me, is the master of horror. I mean, aside from maybe
What's
like Alfred
left?
Hitchcock,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he is, dude. You've got Halloween, you've got this, you've got They Live, you've got his vampire movie, you've got
He wasn't heavily involved in the new Halloween, but he's involved, and that's a great new age horror movie.
yeah, man, and the fact that he's so passionate about the music he puts into it, and I know his son is also a musician, and he's just, I don't know, I love his style of shooting because he did, yeah, Escape from New York and Assault on Precinct 13. He's got action movies that are really good. He's a very interesting filmmaker, and I really think he is one of the last living horror masters.
Yeah, for sure. And I always liked what he said, like, hey, I'd watch like younger teenage kids watching Halloween, and they'd be watching the movie, but then they'd be covering their ears because it's like almost the music makes it way more scary. They're just still watching the movie, but they can't do it with while listening to the music in the background because that's just too much.
Yeah, his music, that's really it, like, obviously, his shots are good and the ideas are good. I feel like he really puts a lot of thought into the characters and the lore of whatever's happening that he's writing, but the music just kicks people, like, it
Yeah,
sticks with you, it's got a passion to it that's it it makes me feel better that the guy that wrote and directed it also did the music. It's like, this is really his
it's his
vision.
vision. It's his
Yeah.
vision. Yeah, and I like the shots of the fog rolling over like the mountain and coming, and you're like, dum, dum, dome, and the fog's getting closer, and you hear like foghorns in the background, and you also
Yeah.
hear like a din 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 din, and it's very intense, like seeing fog roll in. It's scary. It's a scary vision to have and create. So, really, really
Yeah.
cool idea.
You know, just a couple stupid things I'm thinking of here. Right at the end when, the whole thing we think is over, why does the radio DJ get back on and to give the
She
whole
just got
little, like,
stabbed. Yeah.
"Run to your son."
Yeah, you'd think that, right?
Also, the power's out everywhere else, your radio's not going to anybody that isn't in a car at that point, and you know the town's power's out, so what are you doing?
Someone who's trying to keep their job, you know? You just
No,
you gotta go to work. You gotta pay the
no,
bills.
she's doing it for the audience, and I'm like, "No, no, no, I don't like that, it's
You
no,
don't like it.
I
I
don't
don't
like
like
that."
go home to your son.
Yeah, man.
Stop getting harassed at work, like, jeez.
Now, let's say you're Tom Atkins, okay, and you're just driving, drinking, doing whatever you do. You got a cracked windshield because you don't give a fuck about anything. You're driving around, and then all of a sudden you see a hitchhiker, and it's a foggy night. You pick her up. She's 23 years your junior. What do you do?
Take her to where she needs to go respectively? I don't know, like,
She
I
doesn't
just saw
make that
Texas
clear.
Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not picking up any hitchhikers anytime soon.
Well, the girl makes it very vague where she's going.
Where is she going?
Vancouver, but she doesn't really tell you.
Okay, we're like, I'll take you to where I'm going. What would
And
you
then
do? What
randomly,
would you do, Alec? Tell me your answer, because that's what's important. Yeah,
probably would pick her up and be like, "Jesus, okay,
you know.
I guess we're gonna go." Then windows break out, and then immediately, no explanation. We're having sex. Things are
Yeah,
going
right off
well.
the bat, it's like, "Oh, can't drive anymore. There's shattered glass. You wanna stay at my place?" That's what it felt like for sure.
Did they have that conversation, and did I
No,
miss it?
no,
Okay,
totally went from bing, bang, boom, and like, "Oh, maybe you'll get lucky." I think she says something like that.
okay, because in my mind, it went from drinking and driving, windows explode, immediately in bed, and then looking at her drawings.
Yeah, yeah.
If I was,
Bing, bang, boom.
if I was 15 years old and watching this movie in 1980 being like, "Why would I not pick up hitchhikers if this is how easy?"
Why if I drink and drive and pick up hitchhikers, I get laid. That's what happens. It's like,
I get
no,
laid.
that's a bad image.
And then the mom and dad walk in, they're like, "Actually, you didn't finish the movie. You get an ice pick in your fucking forehead by a mummy." It's like, "Oh,
Have you ever picked up a hitchhiker?
no.
I did one time
No,
about
you didn't. When?"
5 years ago. There's a bad storm and tornadoes that landed in Connecticut, and I picked someone up, and we were like stuck in between all these trees and stuff. And I picked them up, and like they were just up the street, and you could tell they lived nearby, but they were stuck in like the rain, dude. There's a
Well,
mother and her kid, and I was like, ah, all right,
okay, if it's a mother and a child, that's a little
yeah,
different. It's not a guy with a camera who's cutting his wrist, and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna pick that guy
yeah,
up."
no, no, no. If a guy is, yeah, no, no, I'm not picking up no guy.
Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah,
If you're a John Carpenter fan and, you like horror movies, give it a shot.
for sure, for sure.
You're not gonna be that disappointed, you might not walk out and be like, "Masterpiece," but you're definitely gonna be entertained. It's a short movie. I think it's too short.
Very short.
Also, just really quick, good job for that priest, man. That's a hell of a head of hair for a man his age.
Yeah, yeah, damn, good for him. Good for and he carried that cross like a boss. He just picked it up. That thing had to weigh 60 pounds if it's solid gold.
Yeah, okay, he's got just, good for him.
Good for him. Good for
Good for
him.
him. Well, Eric, what do you say you spin that wheel?
Let's do it to it.
I miss fog. There's no fog in LA.
The foghorns. I like foghorns.
Yeah, I do too.
Let's spin in. Yeah, be the original. This is kind of cool. The original Halloween. We back to back
Ooh.
John Carpenter's right there.
Ah, and the final of the holy trinity of slasher films to kind of finish it off. That's cool, man. I kind of wish we got this one on Halloween. I think that would have been cool.
I know. I wanted that one to be like really close to Halloween, but hey, the wheel doesn't let up. It lets you know. You don't
That's
know. The
true.
wheel tells you. You don't
Hey, man,
pick the wheel. The wheel picks the wheel.
you better not talk about the wheel too much, man.
I'm not. No.
The wheel
Trust
might.
me. If I die by this wheel, dude, that's
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the original Halloween.
woo.